All right. Looks like we're live.
Nice.
Just give me a sec. All right. Welcome back to the weekly. I'm Graham Stone, joined by David Sencil. Let's get into the Bitcoin and crypto news of the week. So, starting off with price action here, Bitcoin is trading at $88,500, down pretty sharply on the day, about 2%, and a lot of chop during the week. So let's start off with the rate cut, David. Can
Yeah.
you?
Just a little color on that. If you look at that price chart, though, this is reminiscent of the BART era. Graham, I don't know if you remember the dreaded
Yes,
BART, but look at that. There's BART. There's two BARTs right there. It's
back to back Barts.
yeah, and the whole idea with BARTs is that it's kind of it's not natural, right? This wasn't a natural price movement. So who knows what it is now? But this is not great. Anyway, last week the Federal Reserve pulled the trigger on a 25 basis point cut. This was as predicted. Nobody was surprised by this. Bitcoin briefly rallied to as high as 93,000, but it's been bleeding ever since. The S&P also briefly rallied. During that rally, did you see Trump's bizarre tweet where he said he was congratulating himself for
Created
being
the
the best?
greatest economy ever.
Yes, yeah.
Greatest economy ever.
Yeah, so it hit a new all-time high before also falling back. Um, Market participants had priced in this rate cut, and markets are forward-looking, but even still, the reaction seems to be a bit of a head scratcher. However, if you look at some of the details of this, I think it's kind of safe to say that people don't quite know how to kind of process this. It's still a little uncertain. So there's a couple points here. The Fed is more divided than it's been in a long time. There's lots of talk of like a regime change and how the Fed actually operates. Before or up to this point, the chairman really kind of ran the show, but now we seem to be entering an era where it will be just like strictly down to the individual governors, and that's going to be a big change. So again, how to price this in. The dot plot that the Fed releases after the rate cut announcements or the announcement has shifted. There were several cuts kind of likely in 2026. Now it looks like the current dot plot only has one cut for 2026 likely, and the other cuts have been pushed out to 2027. This is kind of like a hawkish dot plot, if you will. However, many of the analysts that I follow, they point out to some of the details in what Powell said and what's planned to be very, very dovish. But those are kind of non-obvious points. So maybe after the market kind of fully digests what was done and what was said, it'll kind of start to grind up. But right now, I think it seems clear that people are like, I don't really know what to do.
Yeah, and I think this is a good time to bring in another factor here, which is the Bank of Japan. So it's looking like the Bank of Japan will hike its short-term interbank rate to 0.75% from 0.5%. And that's probably going to happen on December 19th, so later this week. Now, this move would formally, formal, formally, excuse me, close the chapter on the world's last remaining negative interest rate regime. So when it comes to interest rates, Japan, of course, has long stood apart as a global outlier. So, like for decades now, it has effectively had negative rates, which have fueled the so called yen carry trade. Now, that's where people, and by people, I mean institutions, borrow money in Japan at an extremely low interest rate, then use that to buy other currencies and assets, namely equities in other countries. So this has, over decades, bolstered other currencies and equity prices, especially in the US. Now, with this rate hike in Japan, which is like I think the prediction markets are pricing it at like 98% likely that it's going to happen. That will officially make that trade pretty much not doable at a large scale anymore. And so the yen carry trade is unwinding, and the fear is that it will put downward pressure on U.S. equities, even potentially being a trigger for the collapse. Like everyone in equities knows that the price of equities is at like historical highs. All the stocks are extremely expensive. The AI bubble is real, and people are kind of just waiting for a collapse. This could be one thing that does it. So, and of course, Bitcoin is highly correlated there. So maybe Bitcoin's current like a negative price action is sussing that out.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this needs time to develop. It is widely known that Japan and the Japanese central bank work closely with their American counterparts. And I can't imagine that Japan is doing this without the blessing of the US. So I have to think that maybe this yen carry trade unwind thing is maybe slightly sensationalist, because I just don't think that this would be done without the permission really of the US. And um, Trump doesn't want Trump admin doesn't want the U.S. economy being hurt right now. So again, um, I think that perhaps this might appear bearish, but it I think in the long term it won't, because I
Yeah,
just
and
yeah.
a lot of people have noted that we had this yen carry trade unwind scare about a year ago, I believe, and people have pointed out that at that time, a lot of the extreme leverage in that trade had unwinded already. So it doesn't have as far to fall this time.
Yeah. All right, so let's look at some just blatantly bullish news, Graham. Um, Bitwise is Bitwise's CEO Hunter Horsley is out there again, giving everyone bullish hopium, um, saying the classic line, "People are not bullish enough." So he got on X on December 10th and talked about how there is mounting institutional momentum, and fundamentally the market is much stronger than the price action would make it appear so. So Mr. Horsley said institutional access is expanding, noting that 5 banks with assets between $300 billion and $2 trillion have approved Bitwise exchange traded products for their wealth management clients in the past 6 months. And he, of course, takes this to mean that um, there's broader like distribution pipelines for all these institutions and then their clients, and he expects to see even more and faster inflows. The bottom line being that, in his estimation, mainstream investors are coming, and you're not bullish enough, Graham.
Well, David, I do sense a note of sarcasm in your voice there, but I mean, haven't you been saying here for weeks that you broadly agree with this? That basically the idea that institutions are coming, it just takes them time, and we've got growing evidence that they are opening up the channels to allow their clients to invest in Bitcoin and crypto, and that it's just going to take time, but it does lead to yeah, money coming into Bitcoin and crypto, which will support the price.
Yeah, no, no, I am being a little sarcastic, but yeah, I do agree with most of what this is saying. It's just that uh, saying the same thing over and over again gets a little maybe a little tiresome. So
Okay, well, there is some evidence that he's not just talking his book. Like, for example, right? There's this story out of Brazil. So Itaú, which is Brazil's largest bank, has over 100 million customers. They are now recommending allocations of up to 3% of their of investment portfolios to Bitcoin, and they assess that Bitcoin is a diversification tool and a hedge against currency devaluation. So yeah, all of the things that we always talk about. And the note that they published highlights that Bitcoin has evolved and can function as a relevant element in portfolios that suffer from changes derived from today's economic uncertainties and geopolitical tensions. So that's pretty bullish. You have a massive bank basically saying it's okay to invest in Bitcoin. They're recommending 3%, and they say it makes sense for inflation reasons, geopolitical reasons, basically a hedge.
yeah, I mean, not to get too off track, but you're seeing more of these backwards looking reports for 2025 um, within crypto, but also just in traditional finance, saying something that I think you were talking about in Token Narratives or this show, just that perhaps the U.S. Was in a recession, basically for 2025, but that was kind of papered over by various factors. Um, and in crypto's case, or in the price of Bitcoin's case, the thing that kind of supported the price was the fact that institutions are here and they have been buying. So despite the fact that we've been in a kind of recession all year, um, these institutions have really kind of supported the price. And without them, we'd be probably considerably lower.
All right. Let's move on to something that's not directly related to Bitcoin, but tangentially, I think. So let's talk about some regulation here. Now, um, okay, so there's this thing called the Depository Trust and Clearing Corporation, and it's a post-trade market infrastructure. Um, and okay, so what happened was the SEC issued a no action letter to DTCC, that Deposit Trust and Clearing Corporation, effectively authorizing new tokenization services for DTC custody assets. So this is a mouthful, but basically, the SEC is saying, we're not going to come after you. You can issue, yes, you can tokenize securities effectively. So this approval, or tacit approval, is widely viewed as significant because it will move towards embedding tokenization within systematically important market infrastructure, rather than positioning at it as it has been for a long time, as just an experimental overlay. So yeah, they're preserving legal certainty, custody standards, investor protections, and this framework will address the core concerns that have limited institutional participation in digital asset markets. Now, the broader implications of the no action letter extend well beyond just DTCC's own services. So, authorization to tokenize highly liquid assets, including things like like the Russell 1000 and a major index tracking ETFs, U.S. Treasury securities. This all signals growing regulatory comfort with blockchain-based representations of core financial instruments. And backing this up, we have the SEC chair, Paul Atkins. He went on X, published a series of posts, and he just a few days ago, and he's framing on-chain settlement as a major technological upgrade and a strategic priority for the U.S. So he says, "quote On-chain markets will bring greater predictability, transparency, and efficiency for investors." Now, Paul Atkins, again, the head of the SEC, the chair of the SEC, he is even hinting at a sandbox framework that would allow businesses to transition to on-chain markets. And here he says, quote, "I look forward to SEC considering an innovation exemption to allow innovators to begin transitioning our markets on-chain by harnessing new technologies and business models without being burdened by cumbersome regulatory requirements."
Graham, when are we going to get spot equities on chain?
Yeah, I would love that. The perp equities on chain, that's interesting, but to me, that's only really for like degenerate traders, I guess, like people who are really plugged in day trading, like because you can't invest with a perp equity due to the leakage from what you pay for funding. Um, but yeah, once you have like spot equities on chain, I think that opens up a lot for people all around the world to just get access to these equities, like basically the best companies in the world, without having to go through the TradFi rails. And I think that's going to be a massive unlock when that actually happens.
Yeah, I mean, probably similar to stablecoins themselves, right? Like, people want to have access to these um, assets because of the liquidity, because of the uh, like the price and all that kind of stuff. So you won't have to force this upon people. They're gonna clamber for it. Um,
Yep.
yeah. All right. Well, let's talk about prediction markets. This is something that people also really love, and you don't have to force this upon them. People who tune into our show may recall a few weeks ago a story we highlighted from Connecticut, where the state regulator issued a cease and desist against prediction markets in the state, saying that they were offering unregulated gambling products. They are. Seemingly in response, the industry, the prediction market industry, the crypto industry, is now forming a lobby group to get the rules changed in their favor. Major financial and crypto platforms have coordinated a new industry initiative, a federally focused alliance bringing together Kalshi, Crypto.com, Coinbase, Robinhood, and Underdog has been formed to establish the Coalition for Prediction Markets, aimed at protecting access to prediction markets under a consistent federal framework. We gotta let people have access to their prediction markets, Graham. It's a freedom, right? So the head of corporate development at Kalshi and executive board member of the coalition, Sarah Slane, she said that America deserves clarity instead of 50 conflicting interpretations. Um, I'm a little skeptical of this in terms of, well, their intent. I mean, they just don't want to be regulated. They don't want to have like gambling regulation. Whether that's good or bad, it's hard to say. But it does seem a little disingenuous in terms of what they're saying and what they actually want. I don't know how you feel about
Yeah,
that.
couldn't agree more. But I think I would note that the crypto lobby has shown itself to be highly competent. Uh, we have the what was it, Fair Shake pack, or like the biggest ever uh, su- uh, uh, what do you call it, political action committee fund, and it had a significant impact on the last U.S. election. So they're competent, and I just say this to note that like uh, like it or not, I think they will have. significant sway here with their lobbying efforts.
Well, this is
So
an interesting thing, Graham. I wonder, is there a prediction market on uh, like how effective this coalition will be in, like, for example,
oh,
overturning
yeah,
the Connecticut, you know,
that's
uh,
meta. I like that. A
sys-
prediction market
sys-
on whether prediction markets will be able
we'll,
to
we'll be able to
shape the regulation in their favor.
right, or even more simply, like, will prediction markets in 2026 be able to fend off um, gambling regulation on the prediction market industry? That'll be
Yeah,
that'll be an interesting fight that I think we'll see in 2026, as prediction markets, obviously, they're so important, and they're, to me, they seem obviously gambling. So I don't know. It seems like a fight is brewing, and so it'll
absolutely.
probably play out next year.
All right, let's move on. So next story we have. So YouTube has expanded its creator monetization options. So now you can US based only for US based creators right now. You can actually receive payouts, and this is already live in PayPal's stablecoin PYUSD. So yeah, PayPal's head of crypto commenting on this, May Zabane, said the feature is live and builds on PayPal's long-standing relationship with YouTube as a provider of payout services for contractors and gig workers. So yeah, he says that the new feature enables YouTube to introduce a stablecoin option without directly managing crypto assets, which reduces operational and compliance complexity for the platform. So anyway, this is just another yeah, another check that stablecoins, crypto rails are being integrated into yeah, Web two giants, and there's
Do
no greater
you
Web two giant than YouTube.
do you think, I'm trying to rack my brain, like, why wouldn't you take this stable coin? For me, it seems like this product should get lots of usage, and I'm just trying to imagine who wouldn't want to use this. I don't know. Am I? You
Well,
know what I'm saying?
I
I don't
think
know.
adoption will be gradual. I don't think there's going to be a massive uptake in this. And the reason is that if you're a creator on YouTube, you've been making money on YouTube all this time, you already have a way that you're getting paid. And like, unless the fees are significantly less for this, I don't see why you would change that. But at the margin,
Yeah.
people who maybe like want crypto, they want to use it for other things. Okay, yeah, maybe they want to receive it in this stablecoin PYUSD, so they can yeah, make payments to their staff or whatever if they got editors around the world, or yeah, if they want to like just like lock it up in some smart contract to earn yield on it. There's reasons, but I don't think it's going to be like a sea change shift. Suddenly, all YouTube creators are going to switch to taking their payouts in stable coins.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. I just, it just feels like there are so many reasons to want to do this, but yeah, if you already have a system set up, maybe you just don't care about it.
That's how I think. But by the way, stablecoin market cap, the global stablecoin market cap did reach a new all-time high. It cracked $310 billion, currently sitting at just under $310 billion. So yeah, there's a lot of dry powder on the sidelines. Whether or not that will go into our favorite crypto assets like Bitcoin remains uncertain at this point, as I think, yeah, market participants are just, sort of wait and see mode here, as we've discussed.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, for our last story of the week, Do Kwon, the co-founder of Terraform Labs, has been sentenced to 15 years in a U.S. federal prison. This is kind of, I would say, massive closure for everyone affected by the Terra Luna fraud. there were some very good posts on X from people who were affected by this, who helped uh, helped with this prosecution, and I I forgot how impactful this was, but reading just like tons of normal retail people, and how their losses led them to kind of volunteer to provide evidence for this was like a great reminder of how devastating this was, and how,
Yeah,
I mean, devastating it was for our industry as well. Like, absolutely.
$40 billion is the number that is thrown around as to what was lost. I know, a lot of people lost money in this. A lot of retail investors, people lost their entire retirement savings. People were all in because at the time, um, what was it called? The stable coin that you can earn 20% yield on, or
Yeah,
the
it was
protocol.
UST, right? It was like US,
Right,
was it,
but there was
right?
a special name for the protocol. I forget what it was. Anyway,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
um, um, it was it was widely seen as just like, yeah, just put your stable coins there. You can get 20%. And I remember at the time thinking, feeling a pretty strong sense of FOMO, like, yeah, I should just put some stables over there. Luckily, I don't know, I was busy, didn't get around to it, and managed to dodge that bullet. But a lot of people lost a lot of money from that safe 20% yield on their stable coins.
Not only that, but like, I mean, this started it started that whole insolvency of 2022, right? Like, this kicked off
Yeah.
the pain that came, and so um, in some respects, it is responsible for a lot of the kind of the downstream effects as well. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's good that this happened. We
Yeah.
need
Also,
these kinds of things to happen.
absolutely. I think it's also just another point here. Like, we've come a long way, right? At that last cycle, two of the biggest um main main characters at the time,
Villains.
Do Do Kwon, right? The heroes of the time, Do Kwon
Right.
and SBF,
Yeah.
both now in jail. And I don't know. I just it's kind of funny. Like, you think, like, okay, this time who are the main characters, and are they going to end up in jail? It just doesn't feel like it right now. Like, that you don't. I don't think Hunter Horsley or Michael Saylor are going to be ending up in jail anytime soon. As funny as that would be.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, they're totally not in the same league as those two, right? Like,
Exactly. Yes. Exactly.
the way those guys operated, it was, even at the time, it was clear that these guys were like, well, even within crypto, the way that they acted was not normal, which is, that should tell you something right there, right? They were extreme in the extreme world of crypto. So, and Hunter
Yeah.
Horsley and Michael Saylor are not that at all.
Absolutely. Very different game being played now, which I think is just indicative of yeah, how the space has changed over the last 4 years. So yeah, good to have some closure there on
Yeah.
Do Kwon, and I think that wraps it up for this week, David.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for joining, everyone. And we'll see you on Friday for our last episode of the year of Token Narratives. We're going to be doing a recap of all the craziness that went down in 2025. So we'll see you on Friday for that. Have a great week, everyone.